I started podcasting back in January of 2006, and I've done different podcasts since then. The most recent podcast and the biggest one that I've been doing is the Youth with a Mission News podcast at YWAMpodcast.com. Through the years, I've had a lot of different opportunities to invest in equipment, like a microphone, to develop the website, to pay for hosting, stuff like that. But I would say that by far the most valuable investment financially and time-wise that I've actually put into my podcast was to get a professional review done of it. So in doing so, it helped me to learn a lot about delivery with my voice, as well as delivery on the website, how to present content and things like that, how to present stories. And both of those times, the person I went to was Dave Jackson from the School of Podcasting at schoolofpodcasting.com. First time I did it was through a service that he used to run, but I don't believe he does anymore, called the Podcast Mechanic. And that one made a dramatic difference, I felt, in the podcast and in how I presented things. He offered some good advice that, you see radio people do it, but I never even thought of applying it to my own. And you see other podcasters do it. It's different things like adding bumpers in between your stories, how to better present the content on the website so people can follow along, and that people can then follow through for more links and for more understanding. Different things on the website so that people can then subscribe easier, can contact me easier, stuff like that. The second time I did it was back in just earlier this year through the Podcast Review Show. This is at www.podcastreviewshow.com. And this one was, again, a great investment. I feel that again, it bumped up the quality of the podcast even more. Now, it then also helps me to, present the stories better, to really connect with the audience, to make it, more personable so that people can actually understand, and not only to grow, not only for people to understand the content, but also to actually, empathize with it and to understand it, and for it to really sink in. Different just vocal techniques, different ways of doing the recording so that, again, the message isn't distracted by the technical. Just a few things on the website that I had missed that I was reminded of through doing that. And again, it was by far the best investments that I've made were these. I've invested in microphones. I've invested in headphones. You can invest in software. You can invest in new hardware. But I wouldn't recommend those if you're not willing to also invest in actually getting your podcast reviewed. Now, it's not for everybody. If you're only on your third episode, your fifth episode, even your seventh episode, I wouldn't recommend getting a review. Most podcasts don't make it past their seventh episode. But, if you're on your 15th, your 20th episode, by then you're probably found, a bit of a rhythm for yourself and how you present and what you're presenting. At that point, I'd really recommend heading to podcastreviewshow.com. I'll link to it right along here. I'll put the website, and I'll also put it below in the YouTube description, so you can just click on that and head over to podcastreviewshow.com and get your own review. Like I said, once you reach 20 shows, it's a good time to get it reviewed by someone who knows what who knows what they're doing. Dave Jackson's been doing it since 2005. He's been around since the beginning. I mean, even Dave will tell you his first few shows sucked. So again, just wait until you're on your 10th, 15th episode, and then ask him to review it. Well worth it, worth the time. If you actually do a search on the Podcast Review Show website for YWAM Podcast, you'll find his review of the YWAM Podcast and some of the things that he recommended. So I'm very grateful for Dave and the service that he provides. And if you're serious about podcasting, you want to get better, then head over to podcastreviewshow.com so that Dave can actually have a look at that and help you out to make your show just that little bit better.